Good day. How are you? I hope that you are doing okay. I'm Teacher Lester and I am back again with another new lesson to share with you. In this learning module, you are about to learn some other ways to store and handle materials in different media and digital arts, from preservation to labeling techniques of archival materials. But first, let's understand what is storage and handling of materials means. When we say storage, it just means that it is the first and best means of defense in safely preserving archival holdings. The choices made in storage type and methodology have the greatest influence on the long-term preservation of records. Now that we know what storage and handling archival materials means, let's talk about preservation. Preservation is a crucial element to prolong the usable life of useful information by reducing risks of damage and to slow down the rate of deterioration. When we say deterioration, it is the process of becoming progressively worse. To make inferior in quality or value, or simply put, impair exposure to sunlight, may deteriorate the paint. Preservation is usually accomplished by selecting good quality materials and by providing suitable storage environments and safe handling procedures. Secondly, we have acidity. Whenever we say acidity, it is the quality of being acid or sour. Acids contain high levels of positively charged hydrogen ions that can, if introduced to paper, make it fragile and prone to deterioration. Acid can also be found in ink, adhesives, and the chemicals used to process photographs. Do you know that acidic paper will turn yellow and brittle and break down quickly? Relatively speaking, acidic paper will also introduce acid to items stored with it, or in it, like photographs, art, certificates, etc., potentially damaging them too. This means if you're planning to store it, print on it, paint on it, display it, protect with it, and for it to survive for decades, maybe centuries to come, you need to use acid-free paper. UV light and heat will speed up the chemical process that causes the degradation of paper. You'll see this on the edges of the pages of books that have been on a bookshelf exposed to light. The edges will appear darker in color to the rest of the page. Japanese paper made from naturally acid-free fibers from the bark of specific trees, such as kozo. Cotton fiber, also known as rag paper, which is also naturally acid-free. Next on the list is labeling. Labeling, or using a label, is describing someone or something in a word or short phrase. Labeling archival materials adequately is critical to their physical preservation and storage. Labeling is defined as the process of attaching a descriptive word or phrase to someone or something. An example of labeling is the process of putting signs on jars that say what is inside. Of course, there's a must-follow techniques in labeling archival materials. First is to remember to write as little as possible on the original materials themselves. Secondly, label the enclosure rather than the item itself when possible. And next, if the item must be labeled, write the information in pencil, not ink, and remember that it should always be in small print in a corner of the material. Do not use sticky labels or dots, post-it notes, pressure-sensitive tape, masking tape, or any other adhesive. These are acidic and can cause great damage to materials. And next that we will be discussing is storage and handling of materials in different media. First, we have the paper records. Paper records include letters, reports, minutes, anything written or typed on a paper base. Most paper records suffer from problems with acidity. Paper records means all of the receipts, vouchers, instruments, rolls, or other documents and records in paper or electronic form of the board. Paper documents are difficult to search, carry, copy, and modify. They are also easily damaged, misfiled, or misplaced. Whereas, electronic documents are delivered by networks, disks, flash memory, and CD, DVD, and are stored on a file system. Multiple users can read and review electronic documents simultaneously. Next is books and other publications. Some books and publications are more easily replaceable, but other are rare and perhaps unique. Books can be made of a variety of materials, including paper, leather, vellum, cloth, boards, and adhesive. But remember that books should be kept from excessive moisture or relative humidity. They are best kept in an environment as dark as possible and should be protected from strong light during use. Next to be discussed is works of art on paper. This basically includes oil paintings, watercolors, or other artistic items. Framed works of art can be hung on an interior wall, away from sunlight, direct light, or any sources of heat. Shortly speaking, works on paper and art on paper are synonyms, and these terms cover all artworks that were created on paper as medium, whether the artwork was drawn with pencils or charcoal, painted with oil or dripped with acrylics, created with ink or pastels. And lastly, photographic prints. A photographic print is a reproduction, copy, of a photograph or artwork, and it must use photopaper, paper coated with light-sensitive chemicals. This type of paper is smooth and has a gentle polished look or a glossy finish. This should be handled with gloves at all times, and bare fingers should not touch the surface, as the oils in fingers will leave prints and can damage the image. Prints should not be bent or folded, and paper clips, staples, or other attachments should not be used. Storage areas should be free of dust and free of any cleaning materials that might give off polluting chemical fumes or acids. Now that we have known the other ways to storing and handling of materials in different media, let us know what is digital preservation. Digital preservation is the active safekeeping of digitally stored information. As a part of the formalized efforts of library and archival sciences, digital preservation includes the practices required to ensure that information is safe from medium failures as well as software and hardware obsolescence. Why does it matter? Because the greater the importance of digital materials, the greater the need for their preservation. Digital preservation protects investment, captures potential, and transmits opportunities to future generations and our own. Data preservation ensures reliable access to data by including backup and recovery mechanisms that precede the event of a disaster or technological change. These are the methods in preserving data, but what do we mean when we say data preservation? This involves data curation activities such as data integrity checks, format migrations, and the creation of descriptive records. To reiterate, saving data on hard drives, servers, etc. is not data preservation, it's data storage. These activities include providing a stable environment for records of all media types, using safe handling and storage methods, duplicating unstable material to a stable media, copying potentially fragile materials into a usable format. What do we do to preserve and prolong our files or data's life? Of course, you need to do is backups. It's one of the best ways to help preserve digital objects is by data redundancy. Data redundancy is, simply put, making sure there are many copies, or backups, of important files. Data backup is the practice of copying data from a primary to a secondary location, to protect it in case of a disaster, accident, or malicious action. Data is the lifeblood of modern organizations, and losing data can cause massive damage and disrupt business operations. Lastly is migration. Migration is the purposeful act of changing the file format of a particular piece of digital content. For example, a Microsoft Word file might be migrated to a PDF to ensure that content is not tied to proprietary software and can be opened by a broader array of software. Data migration is the process of moving data from one location to another, one format to another, or one application to another. Generally, this is the result of introducing a new system or location for the data. That would be all for this learning. I hope you now know some other ways to store and handle materials in different media and digital arts, from preservation to labeling techniques of archival materials. Thank you again for watching. I hope you have a great day ahead, and please stay safe and keep at least 3 feet away from people whenever you go outside. Don't forget to sanitize after yourselves. Until next time.